Hello everyone, I'm back at my messy fly tying bench and I'm going to show you the best bait keeper system I've seen for jig heads. Got my trusty wire cutters here and I'm going to cut off the wire keeper on this tungsten jig head. Now as it is, it's okay, it's fine. This is a XPS tungsten jig head from Bass Pro Shops and I think they're pretty good right out of the box, right out of the package. Especially on a budget, for tungsten jig heads, these are a pretty good value. They come 4 to a pack or 3 to a pack. These are 1/4 ounce jig heads, and I think they're 3 to a pack. I think the 3/16 ounce ones are even a better value. Just going to mash the end of that little wire keeper down with some pliers, some needle nose there. Get those tools out of the way and into the vise. Now this method is the same that we used to use, 20, 25 years ago with slug-gos. I got some braid, and I'm going to wrap that braid around the shank of the hook. I recently saw this idea again from, I think it's a company called Epic Baits. They had a tungsten head in their bait keeper system. To me, it looked like braid wrapped around the shank of the hook. I don't know why it took so long to get there. But the idea is that you create more surface area on the hook and you can better secure soft plastics or baits to jig heads once you have more surface area, more grip on the shank of the hook, because that metal hook, it's slippery, and after a few fish the bait, whatever soft plastic you have on there, is going to want to slide down. So years ago we used to fish slug-gos with big single hooks that came with these offset hooks, and if you wanted to, you could get a big single hook and rig them with the hook exposed, and you would get a better hookup, especially with those 7.5, 9-inch slug-gos. And so this is really the same idea. And all I'm going to do is put a bead of super glue down on that shank. I think Epic Baits, it looked like they used some kind of spray adhesive, almost like you would use for putting together a kid's poster or something. But once you coat it with super glue, that super glue is going to seep into the braid. I assume they're using braid, and lock that braid to the hook. Even if it's just kind of a flimsy spray adhesive, once you coat it with super glue, it's going to be locked in there. I didn't have much braid. I was just using a scrap of braid that I had, so I cut off the tag flush. On the next one I'll show you, I'm going to tie a knot at the end just to make sure it stays put. Now you can use old braid for this, new braid. I don't think it really matters. The braid I'm using is Berkeley X5. It's a 5 carrier braid, so it's a little bit more coarse. Something like Power Pro would work great too. And I'm using a pretty heavy pound test too. I'm using 50 pound. I don't think, if you'd use 50 pound or 65 pound or 40 pound, but something pretty thick. You want something pretty substantial and also kind of coarse. This is just a slip knot here. And then I'm going to jam it with a overhand knot. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Once the super glue is on the braid, it's going to lock it into place. Snip it with my braid scissors. Same thing, I'm going to put a bead of super glue on the shank of the hook. I'm going to lock that knot into place first. Then there goes the bead on the shank. Now I'm going to wrap. Now I'm trying to wrap kind of evenly. Honestly, I don't think it matters. You can do, a small gap in between. You can try to keep those wraps nice and tight. Again, I don't think it matters. Now I'm going to finish this with just a little overhand knot. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And like I said on the last one, I didn't even tie a finishing knot at the end. The super glue is gonna lock it into place. So that first one I tied, I had it drying. It's actually a spinning wheel I have for drying flies, epoxies, and things like that. In this case, it didn't need to spin. It just needed to hang out there for 30 seconds or however long it took me to tie that. Now I've got Z-Man drop kickers. This has been a pretty good bait for me lately. It's kind of slim, but the fish dig it, so I like it too. It's got a little bit thicker tail section than like a Crush City Mooch minnow, so that tail section lasts longer for me, even though they're both Elastec type plastic, TPE, elastomer, whatever you want to call it. The drop kickers is lasting longer for me than the Mooch minnows. Now, if you weren't catching a lot of fish, I think the Mooch minnow actually the fish like a little bit better, but they like this drop kickers just fine too. Now, I could have put another bead of super glue on top, but the super glue was still wet, so I'm just going for it, and I'm testing it to see if it's locked in. It's already locked in. And that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching.